Thank you so much to giving me the opportunity to make a speech today. Dear President Acker, I'm sorry that after my speech I will have to leave the room because you call it also Council Europe. I have tomorrow an important meeting in Brussels and I have a government meeting today to prepare the European Council of tomorrow, where you know it will be an important moment for Europe when we speak about our friends from the UK and also the refugee crisis, and I think it's a big challenge for all of us. You just introduced me by telling that I was Minister of Communication and Media and also Minister of Religious Affairs. I hope you don't see a link between both, because you forgot that I'm also Minister of Culture. So, firstly, dear ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you how happy I am to welcome you today in Luxembourg to the Fiber to the Home Conference 2016. Being able to host this conference is a real privilege for my country. The digital revolution is changing our lives, and only fiber is providing the capacity for our networks to support the ever-increasing needs in connectivity. And believe me, I leave it sometimes in daily life, when I have some of my colleagues who told me we can't choose that hotel when we are abroad. And I ask why? Because the internet connectivity is bad and you will need it. And realize a few years ago, when you choose a hotel, you would check the location, you would check if there was a pool, you would check if there was noise. Now you check also if in the comments you will read that there is no internet or things like that. This might even influence your choice to be somewhere else. It's so reality. The deployment of fiber is indeed high on the agenda in my country, even higher than in most other countries. Fantastic work is being realized, even if not everybody does share my enthusiasm right now. Believe me, I was the mayor of this city before, and because putting fiber into the ground alternately doesn't go without a lot of dirt, noise, and traffic jams. But let me take the opportunity of your visit to Luxembourg to mention some pieces of our history. Luxembourg used to be a quite famous fortress in the late Middle Ages, providing the theater for major war scenes opposing the European military powers, armies coming from France, Germany, Spain, Austria, or Burgundy to besiege, occupy, or defend the rocks on which the city of Luxembourg was built. In the 19th century, the fortress was finally dismantled and neutralized by the creation of an independent Grand Duchy. With the walls falling, the tiny country opened wide its doors to trade and communicate with its bigger neighbors. In the 20th century, iron mining and steel mills brought wealth into our country, which is today still the seat of ArcelorMittal, the biggest steel producer in the world. Luxembourg is one of the 6 founding members of the European Union and has the privilege to host a number of European institutions, among which are the European Court of Justice, the Court of Auditors, the European Investment Bank, and services of the European Commission and the European Parliament. It is also the home of the RTL Group, the biggest European private broadcaster, which started in the 30s by using Luxembourg's radio frequencies. And I just come back from Berlin yesterday, where for them RTL was a name of freedom. It was the capacity to listen to the Beatles for the first time. It was the capacity to listen to news from somewhere else. And for them, RTL, so Radio Télé Luxembourg, means a lot. We have SES in Luxembourg, the leading satellite operator. And believe me, when in the 80s, some member of government thought that we should invest in satellites, some people thought they would need more a psychiater than a bank to help and to find financing. And nowadays we are proud to have the worldwide coverage for TV distribution, but also internet connectivity around the world. A fact is that Luxembourg uses more space in the space than on the ground. and it's not finished. Luxembourg is, of course, a financial center, providing finance and banking services to an international customer base. When the internet emerged, we had soon the ambition to build on our broadcasting and satellite assets in order to diversify our economy and to further develop the ICT sector. But we had first to acknowledge that the information highways did in fact circumvent our territory, and that we were not really on the map of the major data streams. We soon undertook to radically improve our international connectivity, drawing also on our central location at the crossroads in the middle of the major European metropoles such as Paris, Frankfurt, and Brussels. We also started to improve connectivity within the country, putting into the ground for the backbone, building state-of-the-art data centers, attracting international carriers, setting up a Luxembourg internet exchange, and stimulating competition on the domestic market. We finally succeeded in being chosen as the European hub by major internet players, but we saw also many smaller ICT companies growing, and even highly successful startups such as Skype were founded in Luxembourg. We were able to attract skilled talent, but we still need, and it is not only in Luxembourg the case, and I remember when I sit with Commissioner Oettinger and with the colleagues on the telecom market, when I introduced the presidency of Luxembourg, one of the first questions some members of the European Parliament asked me was, do you think that the digital revolution will cost jobs or create jobs? Both are right. But if we are not able to have the people ready who are able to fulfill the job and what will be needed, we will lose the jobs. So we need also to realize that it's a shame that nowadays very often when you are successful in Europe, if you want to have a bigger market, you need to go to the States or to Asia. And we need to have a common policies. And we need to have people who will be able to take the jobs that we will be needed in next future. If we are not, we will need to have people coming from other countries, as Europe won't be ready for it. So it's very important for us to have that on the agenda. In my country, for example, the multilingualism, political and economic stability, low electricity prices, and an outperforming electricity grid are all part of the advantages you will have and you will find in Luxembourg. In April 2010, the government adopted an ambitious strategy for the deployment of ultra-high-speed networks, which the stated goal to become the first fibered country in the European Union. The strategy includes quantified objectives with deadlines aiming at the complete coverage of the country with a network allowing speeds of 100 megabytes per second at the end of 2015 and 1 gigabyte per second at the end of 2020. Notably, the strategy provides also for ambitious targets, not only for download speeds, but also for upload speeds being set at 50% of the download speed. And up to now, the objectives have been largely fulfilled. We do not yet have all the statistics for the end of 2015, but at mid-2015, in more than half of our municipalities, including all the biggest, at least 90% of all the households had access to the connection, allowing for a download speed of 100 megabytes per second, and in all the municipalities, 90% or more had access to a speed of 30 megabytes per second. This result has been achieved by a mix of technologies, including fiber to the home, VDSL, and cable. Mobile networks are, of course, also crucial, not only to complete the coverage, but also for communications on the move. 4G has been deployed in Luxembourg since 2012. But when it comes to the gigabit level, you need fiber, and preferably fiber to the home. And about half of the country is fibered by now, so we are on the right way. The strategy sets objectives, but not binding obligations. The progress achieved would not have been possible without the commitment of our historic operator, Post Luxembourg, which had already deployed a lot of fiber before 2010, and which respond positively to the strategy by accelerating its investment. It also accepted the recommendation of the strategy to opt for a point-to-point network architecture which facilitates local loop unbundling and allows for enhanced competition and hence more choice for the consumer. In addition to fixing the objectives, the strategy provides for a number of accompanying measures such as public works registry, instructions for posing ducts when new roads are built or in new buildings. Further steps will be taken soon by the adoption of a new law transposing the so-called European Directive on Cost Reduction, which will also make mandatory a number of measures which were already included in the strategy. As in Luxembourg, the ownership of the common parts of many multi-dwelling buildings is in fact shared between the owners of the different flats, which makes it complicated to take decisions on in-house cabling. We have included specific provisions to help bridging the last step between the fiber in the basement of the building and the homes at the different floors. Ladies and gentlemen, deploying fiber to the home is of course not the final objective. It is an enabler rather than an end in itself. My government has made the ultra-high-speed broadband initiative part of the broader strategy which we called Digital Luxembourg. Our goal is to make use of the infrastructure to further develop the ICT sector, to improve the competitiveness of our economy as a whole, to increase the productivity of our workforce, or to facilitate the life of our citizens. We want to make Luxembourg a smart and a connected country. Luxembourg cannot prosper alone, however. We are deeply rooted in the European economy, and it's essential that our European partners engage into the same route. We welcome the European Commission's digital single market. Data must be able to circulate free and secure in the single European market, the same as for goods, services, persons, and capital. Luxembourg just finished 6 months term as the presidency of the Council of the European Union. And we are proud that we have been able to contribute substantially to the digital single market by achieving the long-expected agreement on the European Data Protection Regulation. We have also been completing the adoption of the regulation abolishing the roaming surcharges for mobile communications in Europe. By reaching an agreement on the directive on network and information security, we were able to secure the timely entry into force of the ISA² program on interoperability and by obtaining an agreement for the opening of discussions with the European Parliament on the accessibility of public sector websites. I can only hope that this positive drive can be maintained and the fast progress on other digital single market initiatives will be achieved. This is key for Europe, and it's key for Luxembourg as well. We want a smart Luxembourg within a smart Europe. Being connected, being able to communicate, having access to information at all times and at any place is key for citizens, businesses, but also for our administrations. And increasingly, also objects are communicating. Not only we communicate with machines, but they communicate with each other. Video streaming in high resolution, exchanging pictures, downloading software, video conferencing, teleworking, telemedicine, smart metering, smart mobility, and logistics, and many other applications need increasing bandwidth. We all have multiple devices, and it often happens that many people want to use them at the same time and at the same place. The increased capacity of our networks will open many new opportunities, which will in turn create new needs. I have no doubt that the infrastructure that we are putting in place today will be most needed in a few years' time. And I'm sure that this conference will help to convince those who doubt, who might consider that our goals are overly ambitious. Deploying fiber is a future-proof investment. It is the key to innovation and puts the basis for future economic growth. I would like to thank the organizers for choosing Luxembourg to host this conference. I wish you, all of you, a big, big success. And I know as a public actor that you need decisions taken by public actors. But I need you. I know that I can't do it without you. You know that you can't do it without us. So let's work closer together. Thank you very much.